It's been 18 years since the release of the original Resident Evil 4 on the Nintendo GameCube. Considered by many to be a landmark title, it would not only influence the direction that the Resident Evil franchise would take for the next decade, but it would also influence the direction that many action and survival horror games would take moving forward. Games like Dead Space, Gears of War, and The Last of Us all can find influence and inspiration from this landmark title. So the challenge for Capcom arose. How do you remake a game that is already considered perfect by many players? How do you remake something and not ruin the experience that many players already had for the original title? The solution that Capcom provided was an easy one. Just simply create another all-time classic. Taking place several years after the destruction of Raccoon City and the events of Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 4 has you playing as Leon Scott Kennedy, the protagonist of Resident Evil 2, as he explores the remote mountains of Europe searching for the president's missing daughter, Ashley Graham. Once he arrives at the remote village, Leon is attacked by the local villagers who have gone mad by being infected by a parasite known as Las Plagas, and have also pledged themselves loyal to the cult known as Los Iluminados. As Leon traverses the village searching for the president's missing daughter, he is aided by several uneasy allies, including Ada Wong, a woman from his past who somehow survived the events of Resident Evil 2, and Louise Serra, a doctor who seems to know more than what he lets on. Though Resident Evil 4 follows the same story beats of the original, it changes up several of the events in order to add more character development and dynamics between the characters. Leon is shown to be suffering from PTSD from the events of not only Resident Evil 2, but his training that he endured while becoming a US agent. Luis is given a bit more character development to flesh out his personality and is given a bit more background. Even Ashley loses some of her more questionable trademarks from the original in order to become a more complete character. Though it does focus a little bit more on some serious aspects, the game never loses its silly charm and silly dialogue that has endeared itself to the fans. Resident Evil 4 Remake is a third-person action-adventure game. Though survival horror is the basis for which the Resident Evil series is known for, this one is a much more action-oriented game. As you traverse through the world, you will be able to gather ammo and materials to craft even more ammo or higher-end ammo. The attaché case makes its return from the original Resident Evil 4, allowing for much more concise item management. You can auto-sort your items, but sorting them yourself provides a better satisfaction and can relieve you a bit from the stress of surviving the various hordes of enemies. Combat is intense, as unlike its original release, Resident Evil 4 Remake doesn't drop ammo as frequently. Precise shots and taking advantage of your surroundings is key to ensuring your survival. If you find yourself tight on ammo, the knife is always a great option. There are weaker knives that you can pick up, but once they break, they are gone, unlike your main knife, which can also be used to deflect items thrown at you and parrying attacks. But after a number of uses, it will break. Thankfully, it can be repaired at the merchant stand. With the merchant, you can trade in any treasures that you find for money. Combining gems will allow you to sell them for higher prices. You can use the money to upgrade your equipment, buy new weapons, or repair any equipment that has been damaged or broken. Optional side quests are present in the game. Completing these will net you spinels, which you can trade in for treasure maps, larger cases, or even healing items. Though there are a finite number of spinels that you can collect in a single playthrough, so choose carefully on what you redeem them for. The partner AI has been overhauled and improved for the better. Issuing the commands of staying closer to you or further away will allow you to better navigate the levels and fight your enemies without the fear of hitting your partner. But in that regard, the enemy AI has also been improved significantly and are more on the challenging side. With much more precise throws, they also engage much more efficiently, as they tend to surround you instead of rushing you head first. Resident Evil 4 encourages for multiple playthroughs. Beating it once allows the hardest difficulty to be unlocked, and completing the game under specific conditions nets you better rewards, so there's always a reason to go back and replay through the game. Resident Evil 4 Remake is a stunning game. Even playing on the base PlayStation 4, the graphics stand out as exceptional. The backgrounds and lighting make you feel like you're in an isolated village, secluded from the rest of the world. The environment isn't just for show either. You can use several objects against your villager foes, from explosive barrels to bear traps. The game has a steady frame rate throughout, though there are a few instances of it dropping below 30. The game also takes very little time to reload, so if you die, you'll be brought back into action almost right away. The atmosphere is also enhanced by the remake's visuals. Each of the three main areas have their own distinct flair and don't feel like they're just copy and pastes of each other. As expected of the modern Resident Evil games, there are plenty of great set pieces packed in, with the cutscenes mainly playing to showcase what terrible monstrosity you are about to fight. They are a magnificent sight to behold. Though it doesn't get talked about nearly as much as other Capcom titles, the score in Resident Evil 4 Remake is great. It perfectly matches the high frantic natures of how your encounters against enemies will go, but the score changes from a frenetic sound to one that is more grandeur and epic in scope when you fight one of the game's many bosses. The sound design is also spectacular. The powerful boom from firing your weapons, especially the more powerful ones you acquire, is a very satisfying sound to hear, but also the eerie quietness that is only broken when you hear the murmurs of your enemies nearby. It gives you both a sense of isolation and danger. It is truly one of the standout features, or one of the most standout features of the game. For fans who are wanting a true one-to-one remake, they may be a bit disappointed with a few of the cuts from the original game, though they aren't as major as Resident Evil 3 Remake cutting out an entire section from its prior iteration. The voice performance of a few characters is also a bit lackluster, especially compared to others in the game who stand out more and can bring the quality of the scene that they're in down. But overall, there are very few things that Resident Evil 4 Remake gets wrong. Resident Evil 4 Remake had the monumental task of living up to the standards of the original Resident Evil 4, a game that raised the bar and set a new standard of what third-person action games should be moving forward, and by every measure it has met those standards and even surpassed the original in a few areas. With more character development, fantastic gameplay, phenomenal audio and visuals, it stands on its own merits as an amazing action game. Capcom once again hits it out of the park with this remake. It is a masterclass in game design that will keep you coming back for multiple playthroughs. This game, simply put, is spectacular.